Government and partners assess the impact of floods and cholera epidemic on civil population in Bentiu. Central Equatorial State authorities condemn an attack on Morobo County Hospital that left 2 ambulances damaged. Governor Kong Sho renews call for peaceful coexistence among diverse communities. Good evening, dear viewers. Welcome to SSBC News Live from Juba. I'm Susan Emiliano with the news in details. The East African Health Scientific Conference begins tomorrow as Service Cluster convenes to look at final touches. The meeting, chaired by Vice President Josephine Joseph Lagu, aims at enhancing interministerial coordination and efforts to strengthen strategies for the effective delivery of essential public services across the country. As Ayuel Ring Arop reports, Vice President Josephine Lagu and the World Bank Group Country Manager Charles have discussed areas of cooperation between South Sudan's government and the global financial institution.
الاجتماع الاستثنائي رفيع المستوى لقطاع الخدمات هدف لتمكين التنسيق بين الوزارات.
Vice President and Chairperson for Service Delivery Cluster Josephine Joseph Lago on Tuesday chaired an extraordinary high-level cluster meeting aimed at enhancing interministerial coordination and strengthening strategy for the effective delivery of essential public service across the country. In a statement to the media, the Minister of General Education and Instruction, Kuyok Abul Kuyok, announced the commencement of 10 East African Health Scientific Conference, which is scheduled to kick off tomorrow in Juba. The conference will bring together health experts, policymakers, and regional health partners to discuss pressing health challenges and share innovation and best practices in the health sector across East African region.
The cluster is holding an East Africa Health and Scientific Conference in Juba to commence tomorrow from 25th to 27th of June at the Pyramid Hotel here in Juba.
Mr. Kuyok also briefed the cluster on the delay in marking the Senior 4 examination papers, attributing it to the current cash availability issues at the Central Bank.
The Ministry of Finance have paid the funds for this particular exercise, but unfortunately there is no liquidity in the bank. Colleagues in the Central Bank are doing their best to provide the cash, and we hope that by next week we'll be able to call the markers to Juba to be able to commence the marking of Senior 4 examination.
In other news, Vice President Josephine Lago and the country manager of the World Bank Group for South Sudan, Charles Anderland, discussed areas of cooperation between the government of South Sudan and the World Bank, focuses on the strengthening the education and health sectors, which are central to the country's development priorities.
We stressed again and discussed very much the importance of the government meeting its commitments in terms of delivering services and financing the delivery of social services going forward. I look forward to continuing the close cooperation that we have with the government and other implementing partners in order to deliver these very important services for the people of South Sudan, because education and health is the now and the future for its people.
The Vice President's Press Secretary Rosario Machelo stated that Vice President Josephine Lago expressed gratitude to the World Bank Group for its continuous support to the government of South Sudan.
The two discussed cooperation between the government of South Sudan and the World Bank Group, especially health and education projects supported by the World Bank Group. Vice President Josephine Lago thanked the World Bank Group for their continuous support to the government of South Sudan and reassured government dedication to continue collaboration with the World Bank Group in different areas of mutual interest, and also to address different challenges facing the World Bank Group in the country, including issues of security, peace implementation, governance, and financial accountability.
The meeting marked another milestone in ongoing collaboration between the South Sudan and the World Bank Group in addressing the country's pressing development challenges. Reporting for SSBC News, Ayuering Arop, Juba.
From that story, we are now joined by the National Minister of Health, Honorable Sarah Cleto Rial, to shed light on the upcoming 10th East African Scientific Health Conference, which will be held in Juba from the 25th to the 27th of June 2025. Honorable Minister, you are most welcome, and thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you, Suzanne, and thanks to SSBC for welcoming me this evening. Yeah, as you mentioned, the Republic of South Sudan is hosting the 10th East Africa Scientific Health Conference that will be held in Juba at the Pyramid Hotel.
Thank you so much for that. Could you please explain what the East Africa Scientific Health Conference is all about?
The conference is mainly about research. It has the general East Africa, the conference was approved during a East African session in 2006, and it is being held every 2 years in the different East African countries. So this year is our turn in South Sudan to host it. And it is mainly about research, scientific research, breakthroughs in terms of addressing different areas of fighting diseases, fighting strategies in diseases such as HIV, cancer, reproductive health. So there will be a range of researches that will be presented. Participants, researchers will include professionals, health professionals, and it is a cross-cutting topic because it will include also food and security. It will include drugs control and also border transmissions. So it is a range of issues that will be addressed during this conference. The opening is tomorrow, June 25th, and it will be attended by dignitaries, including the vice presidents of the Republic of South Sudan, ministers, ambassadors, heads of missions, and also will be joined by ministers of health and ministers of East African Community Affairs from the East African countries who will be joining in this session tomorrow.
So as the National Ministry of Health and South Sudan at large is concerned, or they are the one responsible to carry the research and all these things around South Sudan, how are you actually going to do that? Can you explain more?
In fact, there are 218 abstracts that were presented for the conference, and out of the 218, 78 are from South Sudan. So there will be select researches that will be presented during the conference, but most of this will be later on published in like a book. So it will have a range of statistics, and research is really important. And I feel as South Sudan, we should take this very serious, because if we want to address any impacts of diseases, we need to have research, we need to do data, we need to have data, we need to have reference. In that way, we can be able to tackle a range of diseases. And this is how most of the developed countries and our countries are moving forward. And for us also as the Ministry of Health, it's really going to be an important event for us, because the research is going to help us even improve the health system and addressing health issues within in the country. So we are going to, we look forward to the reports of this research that we will be reviewing and even becoming, developing them into policies to go through the Council of Ministers to the Parliament, so they become the law of the country.
So the research is going to cover the whole country?
It's a range of studies. It will cover the whole country. And in fact, we have participants from universities, the professors and the students from all the universities around South Sudan. So all of these areas will be covered, and we will be looking into different kinds of...
And that is going to be a very great research. As you mentioned so many things, can you tell us the key issues that will be addressed at the upcoming conference that day, that's starting from tomorrow?
We're going to really address a number of issues, including such as reproductive health and child health, and cancer, which is really a big issue, and we in South Sudan, we need to do really work in terms of cancer research and also cancer treatment moving forward. We will also be talking about health financing. As we see now, there has been cuts in terms of financing, and this is going to affect our service delivery. But we, for us to succeed as South Sudan, we have to succeed in health. Health is number one, and then education and service delivery in general. So I will put health number one for us as a country to move forward.
So what benefits will South Sudan gain from hosting this conference?
Well, I think it's really, we are going to gain a lot. We have an opportunity for our researchers to participate, especially students in the medical schools, and as they aspire to be researchers in the future, and this is going to help our country. And for us as the country, we also show to the East African community, to the world, that we are capable of hosting this conference at this really very difficult time during this time of the year, and especially with a lot of funding being cut to support researches and to support work that helps the communities and society.
So, Honorable, you said this conference was initiated in 2006. So how is the coordination between you among the African countries?
I think this conference is actually done with the contribution of all the partner states and the East African Research Commission. We, the Ministry of Health, host it together with the Ministry of East Africa Community Affairs. So it is a joint venture, and there are also other sectors that come together to help this. It's led by these two main ministries, but other sectors also participate in it. So there is a lot of coordination. And as we speak now, I visited the hotel to look at how the preparations is going, and I found our team is really working hard in terms of preparing to ensure that they document the conferences well. We have rapporteurs coming from our neighboring countries, and they were doing some training. So we have to capture every single bit of discussion that is going on, because if it is not written, it didn't happen. So we are going to be really looking into that.
That's actually is a great initiative that's going to take place in South Sudan. Can you tell us or the viewers your message on, especially on this scientific health conference that's going to take place tomorrow, and what is your message to them, especially the viewers that's watching you right now?
I take it to the viewers that let us take research important, not only in science, but research in general, data collection. It's really important for us to start thinking about that. And so research is it's not cheap. It is really very expensive to do research, and that is where we need also to find resources to put a lot in terms of research. And I want to encourage the viewers. We have invitations to professors and students, and everyone is welcome to participate. There has been a form online to fill, but we as the ministry are opening it up for participants who are interested to come and attend. The opening session is tomorrow in the morning, then the afternoon the discussions will begin until Friday. So this is the opportunity. Let us come and see the researches, share our opinion, and also start building our own research. As we in South Sudan, we are also in terms of opening or establishing a research institute in South Sudan.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister Sarah Cleto-Rial, for this incredible time with SSBC. See you next time.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And to continue with our news, government and the World Food Programme convenes to discuss strategies to prepare for the rainy season with focus on mitigating potential disruption to food supply and impacts of flooding. The Vice President in charge of Youth and Humanitarian Cluster, Rebecca Nyandeng Dimabior, met with the World Food Programme Country Director, Mary Helen, to discuss the organization operational activities during the rainy season. Mary Ellen says is prioritizing plans and measures to tackle environmental difficulties.
Very fruitful meeting with Her Excellency the Vice President. I was updating her on WFP operations here in South Sudan as we're in the midst of the lean season. I was updating her on our prioritization and our measures also to deal with the difficult funding environment.
In a significant diplomatic engagement aimed at bolstering South Sudan's peace efforts, a Speaker of Transitional National Legislative Assembly, Gemma Nunu Kumba, met with Norwegian Deputy Head of Mission, Inger Elizabeth Meyer, to discuss the ongoing efforts related to implementation of peace agreement and preparation for the 2026 general election. Speaker Nunu says the Parliament will continue to play a crucial role in facilitating peace through legislative and diverse, urging Norway to continue supporting government in areas of peace.
Today I met with the Right Honourable Speaker Nunu Kumba. Update on the reopening of the Transitional National Legislative Assembly, which we, as the Norwegian Embassy, welcomed. The TNL plays a critical role in supporting the peace agreement and assuring that elections will take place in 2026, in December 2026. I emphasize there has to be a political solution to the current situation. A political solution in South Sudan must include all the parties to the peace agreement, civil society, women and youth. Norway has been a friend of the people of South Sudan for many, many years. We were instrumental in the CPA as well as the current peace agreement, and we will continue to support the implementation.
Government and partners are strategizing avenues addressing flood and cholera situation in Unity State capital Bentiu. On Tuesday, a team comprising Humanitarian Affairs Minister Albino Akola-Tak and UN Humanitarian Coordinator Anita Kiki assessed the impact of the floods and cholera epidemic on the civil population in Bentiu. Following his meeting with the state authorities, Minister Atak calls for coordinated efforts to address the looming threats of flooding in the state. SSBC's Gaga Hitler reports.
A high-level delegation comprising government officials and humanitarian partners visited Unity State Bentiu on Tuesday to assess the ongoing flood and cholera situation and to strategize on the way forward. Speaking to the media following a briefing with the Unity State Governor Rick Bintap, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management, Albino Akola-Tak, called for coordinated efforts both from the national and state government as well as from local communities to collectively address the looming threats.
This is the start of the campaign for awareness of the likely flood to happen like what happened last year. We want to encourage both the leadership of the state and the people of the state that the national government and the partners are there to support them and to continue supporting them. We want to assure them we will be there to see to it that management is done and the response is also done in a good way. We appreciate the leadership of government on this, and we will be in touch with all of you on the management.
The Minister of Youth and Sport, Dr. Joseph Gengakech, who currently serves as Acting Minister of Water, Resources and Irrigation, encouraged the state government to continue building community resilience and plead full support from the national government to mitigate the impact of floods and cholera outbreak.
Water is life, water is a strategic resource, water is wealth. The impact of its management, which we have seen in terms of flooding, is a strategic concern for the government and the international community, and that's why we have gathered here this morning working with the government of Unity State to ensure that we put in place and build on successes in terms of managing floods. so that our people can thrive in peace and harmony.
On his part, Governor Riek Bimtip described the visit as a critical awareness campaign to highlight the severity of the challenges facing the state. Governor emphasized the importance of public sanitation and collective preparedness.
This assessment will work as a campaign to us here. We took them through the challenges we are facing as a state, and our partners are also working together with us to make sure whatever capacity we have together can be used to mitigate this crisis.
The United Nations Mission in South Sudan, UNMISS representative and resident humanitarian coordinator Annette Kiki outlined the mission's goal as one of the preparedness and disaster risk reduction.
The purpose of the mission was to raise awareness, to see how we can work together with these two shocks coming our way. It was to recognize that we are not going to have the kind of resources that we have had in the past. So under the leadership of the government, how we work together will be more important than ever before. And that moving forward under the leadership of government, we ensure that the preparedness will ensure that we need less response moving forward.
Unity State has been identified as one of the most affected states in the country due to the recurrent flooding and cholera outbreaks. The delegation visit is part of border strategy to coordinate response efforts ahead of the rainy. Etlargaga Michael, SSBC, Unity State.
Still in Bentiu, a high-level delegation led by Humanitarian Affairs Minister alongside which UN agencies assess the general humanitarian situation in Unity State as rainy season continues. The delegation, upon arrival, held a brief meeting with the state governor, Justice Riek Abim, who highlights the team with success stories on handling flood and cholera, as well as challenges ahead of the coming heavy rains. SSBC's Elder Stephen Hasmo.
After a briefing with the state government officials, the high-level delegation proceeded to interact with a group of internally displaced persons in Bentiu town to listen and understand their ordeals of dealing with the floods and cholera outbreak. Speaking to the IDPs, Minister Albina Akol encouraged the vulnerable population to embrace resilience, assuring them the government and humanitarian actors are working round the clock to uplift their livelihoods.
What I want just to tell you is that you have now talked about the role of our partners, which has been excellent. I want you people to continue collaborating with these partners. Indeed, without them here, you people will have a difficult time. The issue of funding that you have cited is in place. The funding is dropping to the worst situation. This is why the leadership of the country, represented by His Excellency General Salva Kiir Mayardit, told me that to come and talk to you. For us to depend on ourselves is very important. So as the national government, we are supporting your government to continue putting in place those things so that you are now coming out from all these camps so that you are free and you do your job freely.
The Acting Minister of Water Resources and Irrigation, Dr. Joseph Gengakech, advises the community of Unity State not to lose hope with the stagnant flood waters, but instead derive benefits from it by planting rice and other water-friendly crops to reduce flooding in the region.
The government of South Sudan, your government, is working to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to prosper in business, in farming, in other activities, so that we don't have people staying in the camps. Even this water that is causing floods will be used for development. In some countries, they don't have water. They are actually looking for water. For us here, we have a lot of water, but we don't have ways to manage it properly. That's why it is causing floods. So not very far away from today, we will see this state becoming the food basket for the country in terms of rice farming, food production.
Unity State remains one of the regions hardest hit by stagnant floodwaters for over 6 years now. This has prompted many diseases like cholera to threaten human lives and livestock, as well as loss of arable land. Eddie Stephen, SSBC News, Bentiu.
The National Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Hussein Abdulbagi Akol, met with the Chief Administrator of the Bibor Administrative Area. The meeting centered on the agricultural sector, most significantly on the use of farming tractors distributed recently to boost food security in the area. In a statement to the media after the meeting, the ministry's Undersecretary for Food Security, Professor Matthew Gurdon, said the meeting centered on agricultural tools and social transformation.
Today I paid a cordial visit to His Excellency, the Minister of Agriculture, to discuss with him about agricultural issues, which include the request for agricultural tools, which include the tractors, seeds for the farmers, and also the support for the cooperatives. His Excellency, the Minister, pledged to support us in Greater Bibor and to see that transformation from cattle keepers to farming is going to be established or in place. He also asked us to set up a mechanical center or agro-mechanical center to establish to keep the tractors and to have those who are ready to fix it whenever there's any problem. He also pledged to give us a special consideration to see that Greater Bibor is transformed from being pastoralists to become farmers. He also talked to us about establishing 250,000 fedan of the deserted land to be given for the establishment of the farming. He also talked about the formation of cooperatives and farmers' union to help us in the farming process.
The meeting focused mainly on how the National Ministry of Agriculture can support Greater Bibor to at least in the agriculture sector. The Chief Administrator requested the Ministry at least to support them, to avail them at least tractors and implements, including seed, as well as possibility of how can they have access of changing the pastoralist mentality into farming, agriculture farming mentality. The minister was very happy, and he said that he was going to support them in all the points which they have indicated. But he advised them to establish what we call agro-mechanical service center, where the tractors will be stationed, and whoever want to use these tractors will have access to them, and then they will use it on cost recovery basis. So talk to them of establishing cooperative in their in the administrative area, especially farming group. We may call it farming group or we may call it cooperative, so that they may have access to this input of production.
The Ministry of Livestock and Fisheries and the United Nations Development Organization for Project Services, UNOPS, have signed a memorandum of understanding focusing on improvement of livestock sector across the country and other vital areas, including beekeeping and procurement of services. In a statement to the media, the ministry's Undersecretary Dr. Makui Malwal says the MOU is highlighting areas such as project management and funding of livestock activities, among others.
The Memorandum of Understanding have highlighted some of the areas for cooperation and collaboration, and this is in project management and implementation of livestock and fisheries projects, funding of livestock and fisheries projects, also procurement of services. These were among the areas.
We are very excited to be expanding our collaborative agreements with the government of South Sudan Line Ministries. This offers us an opportunity to really move in and support the Ministry of Livestock and Fisheries in the implementation of projects across livestock, fisheries and beekeeping. We're looking at really engaging along our mandate, where we're going to focus on procurement, on project management services, as well as infrastructure development.
The Minister of Culture, Museum and National Heritage, Dr. Nadia Arab-Zoudi, and India Ambassador Anil met in Juba on Tuesday. The meeting focused on enhancing cultural relations between South Sudan and India. During the discussion, Ambassador Anil emphasized India's ongoing commitment to supporting South Sudan in various sectors, including education, development, and capacity building, highlighting the strong ties between Juba and New Delhi. Expressing enthusiasm for further cooperation in cultural exchange, the Ministry Under Secretary Majak Malok commends India's continued support in fostering cultural exchange and capacity building.
On our growing bilateral ties in the field of culture, India and South Sudan enjoy friendly and cordial relations, and as far as cultural relations are concerned, our two countries are already having lot of interaction in this field. Cultural troops from South Sudan are visiting India for the last several years. They are participating in our festivals and they are giving an outstanding performance. Their performance has been widely appreciated by the audience.
Russian Federation is preparing to open its embassy in South Sudan. South Sudan Ambassador to Russia, Chol Tong-Mayai, announced this on Tuesday as he bids farewell to ICT delegation, which was in St. Petersburg for the Russia International Economic Forum. Ambassador Chol Tong, who also studied engineering in Russia, advised and encouraged the government of South Sudan to begin real business with Russia, encouraging Russian companies to come and invest in South Sudan. Ambassador Tong also announced that Russia has increased its scholarship to South Sudan this year, marking to 25 scholarships. According to the ambassador, Russia and South Sudan have signed a number of agreements and MOUs to extract minerals and explore oils.
The designated ambassador has been nominated, but it's not yet announced. And they are going to open their embassy soon, maybe September or October. I think that is a good step, and that shows that the bilateral relations between the two countries have gone to a higher level. And we hope that these bilateral relations will be strengthened as the visits will continue to be exchanged between the two countries.
The Inspector General of Police, General Abraham Manyot Peter, and his accompanying delegation returned to Juba after a 5-day visit to Rwanda and Uganda. The police chief was in Rwanda to attend the 13th graduation ceremony of the police officers who have completed a 1-year training on senior police command in Kigali. The graduates were awarded master's degree in peace and conflict management and postgraduate diploma in strategic leadership and management. After the graduation, General Manyot Peter and his Rwandan counterpart, General Felix, has this to say.
And met the IGP of Uganda, a courtesy call, and we discussed with them issues to do with the security at the border and issues also to do with the exchange of criminals and issues to do also with our students who are in Uganda and They are being arrested in clubs and sent into prison. Also, we discussed issue to do with the number plate in the state of the renewal, which they did every 3 months. We were asking them that they have to make it 6 months. Also, the visa need also to be 6 months also, since it is free, and also we like them to cooperate in issues to do with our people who are in displaced camp. Other issues which need us to collaborate so that we maintain the security and order between the two countries, so that we can go ahead and prevent the crimes, whether in South Sudan or in Uganda. Thank you very much.
The government of Central Equatorial State, chaired by Governor Rabi Mujung Emmanuel, convened an emergency meeting to address the deteriorating security situation in Morobo County following a recent attack on the county health facility, setting ablaze to ambulance and looting medical supplies. Addressing the media, Acting Information Minister Jacob Aligo Loladu describes the incident as a gross violation of humanitarian international law, which strictly prohibits attack on medical facilities and personnel.
The leadership of Central Equatorial State Government has learned with great dismay the attack carried out by elements of the SPLA-IO on the main medical facility in Morobo town on Friday 20th. The government and the leadership of Central Equatorial State condemn in the strongest terms possible the barbaric act and the heinous crime committed by the forces of the SPLA-IO, who attacked the hospital, looted the medicine, and burned the 2 ambulances. The government and the leadership of Central Equatorial State seized the opportunity to strongly urge the leadership of the SPLA-IO and other holdout groups operating in the areas and the entire state to immediately cease all attacks on vital infrastructure for rendering basic services to the citizens. The leadership of Central Equatorial State strongly appeals to the national government, especially the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management, and all the partners working on the humanitarian assistance to make an immediate intervention to help the people of Morobo displaced by the conflict.
Eastern Equatorial State Governor Luis Lobong Lojore has called for a sustainable peace in the state, expressing his administration commitment to addressing the challenges facing the state. Speaking at the reopening session of the State Legislative Assembly in the state capital Torit, Lobong urged Eastern Equatorians to embrace unity, accountability, and renew commitment towards the delivery of basic services.
To all of us. I would like also to thank His Excellency, the President of the Republic, General Salva Kiir Mayardit, for generally maintaining peace in the whole country. And he also continued to mitigate and sustain the issue of economic crisis in our country. I therefore call on the youth of Eastern Equatorial States to be vigilant and not to tolerate criminals moving in our territories, destabilizing our peace as our communities embark on food production and business.
I make a strong and urgent appeal to both the honorable members of Parliament of this House and the Executive to enact a specific bylaws aimed at combating the Nigger group, a lawless and dangerous criminal network that continues to undermine safety and order in our towns. This issue must be addressed with urgency and seriousness.
Governor James Kongshol expresses gratitude to President Salva Kiir Mayardit for addressing humanitarian and security situation in Upper Nile State. Governor Kong, who was addressing a public rally in the capital Malakal on Tuesday, urges the state communities to unite and live in peace, emphasizing government's unwavering commitment to addressing citizens' concerns. More in the following report.
Governor James Kongshol is delightedly welcome in Malakal after emissions to Juba. In Juba, the governor engaged with concerned national government officials on matters to do with the states. In a statement after briefing the state cabinet on Tuesday, Governor Kongshol said he briefed President Kiir on the overall situations in the states. The president, according to him, has pledged to support the state administrations in the search for sustainable peace and stable security.
لغيت نوت السيد الرئيس بالأوضاع الموجود في ولاية الأوضاع الأمنية والاقتصادية والسياسية. أنا لقيت إجابة كبيرة خالد من السيد الرئيس وعدونا بأنه هيجيبوا معنا أمنيا ولا اقتصاديا. فأنا يعني في خلال الأيام الجاي ممكن البحر بيفتح يعني علشان ما نوكل الجو براو وضع هيغير يعني وهم وعدونا وهم هيجيبوا معنا.
Governor Kongshol appreciates President Kiir for providing humanitarian support to the people of Nasir and Ulang counties. This support has significantly facilitated voluntary return of the displaced persons.
فعلا وشكرت السيد رئيس الجمهورية لأنه مجهودات وقاموا إنه أدي أكل لما أدى أكل تجابة ناصر وولان أكل ده يعني جاب الإجابة كبيرة لمواطن ومواطن رجع لمناطقه. طبعا العددية بتاع ناس كتار لأنه السكان بتاع ناصر ده سكان كبير فهم وعدين هم هيجيزوا تاني الأكل بالطيران ونزلوا لهم في ناصر ومناطق اللي تعصروا بالحرب في تجال الشرقية.
The governor appeals to people in the state and particularly those who have turned out to welcome him to forgive each other, unite, reconcile and coexist peacefully. He says the government is giving special attention to public welfare across the states.
أنا مبسوط خالص. ليه ولاية بتاعنا يكون على سلام كده. إنتوا رفعتوا ولاية بتاعنا. ويزول بتكلم عنكم وكلام ده يستمر كده. الكلام ده يستمر لأنه إنتوا يال صغار إنتوا جايين. تيجي تلقى البلد الكويس. البلد اللي عملوا لكم. بلد أحرروا لكم يومتها. فأنا ما نخربه. همنا دعمنا بتاعكم. شكرا خالد. أنا داير وحدة بتاعنا. نحن نكون الناس موحدين. نكون الناس بتاع النيل. نادونا نحن نادى على النيل.
Upper Nile State is gradually recovering from the shocks of the recent conflicts in Nasir and Ulang counties.
And lastly, African Union Delegation and the Director General of Civil Registry, Nationality Passports and Immigration, Major General Elia Costa, explore ways to supporting the country's transition to digital ID system. Speaking during a meeting with the AU visiting delegation, Major General Costa Elia says they discussed key issues including free movements of people across Africa, particularly within the East Africa community and IGAD regions, adding that the delegation will travel to Nimule to assess operation and determine areas for potential support. The permanent representative to the African Union and the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, Churchill, says the visit aims at evaluating South Sudan efforts in humanitarian management, migration, and adherence to AU protocols on free movement.
Headquarters, we discussed with them many issues related to the free movement of African Union countries, especially the East Africa community and the IGAD. So during our discussion, we come out with so many issues, we raise many issues, and we discuss it together, and we thank them for their visit, and also the request from us, how can they support us, especially in the issue of digital ID, and we know that the world now is moving towards digital ID, everybody.
We are here to ensure that we have good information about humanitarian issues, gather appropriate data from the South Sudanese Authority, as well as discuss with some of the partners that are here, so that we have a proper.
And that story brings us to the end of our news for this evening. Please stay tuned for the rest of our ongoing programs. On behalf of the working team, I'm Susan Emiliano. Thank you so much for joining us.